All right, so number one, when we're multiplying, we took the square root of 10 times 2 square root of 5. So we're foiling here. So square root of 10 times 2 square root of 5, I'm multiplying the front numbers together and the end numbers together. This is technically 1, but 1 times 2 is 2. Square root of 10 times the square root of 5 was square root of 50. We then have to think, can I simplify that? Does 50 have any factors that are perfect squares? In this case it did. It was 25 times 2. So we took the square root of 25, which was 5. We multiplied it by the number in front, which gives me 10 square root of 2. I'm going to switch colors here because now we're going to do the next one. We're going to do square root of 10 times the outside, which is negative 3. Square root of 10 times a negative 3. We think of it like we do when we take negative 3 times an x. We just put the number in front of that square root, since this is under a square root and this is not, so we get negative 3 square root of 10. Now with 10, we can't simplify it because 10 doesn't have any factors that are perfect squares. 2 times 5, neither of those are perfect squares, so we just left that the same. We then have to do the inside pair. So on the inside pair, we took negative 2 times 2 square root of 5. We're going to multiply the whole numbers together. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, square root of 5. And then we're going to do the last pair. The last pair says we're taking negative 2 times negative 3. Negative 2 times a negative 3 is a positive 6. None of these are like terms because they don't have the same square roots on the end, so I'm just going to list my 4 answers. 10 square root of 2 minus 3 square root of 10 minus 4 square root of 5 plus 6. And that big long thing goes in for your answer. That's what we got, right? The second one there, if I redo that one quick, foiling that out, first terms together, so 3 square root of 5 times the square root of 5. Again, if you want to put that 1 there, you could. 3 times 1 is 3. Square root of 5 times the square root of 5 is the square root of 25. Nice thing happens when those are both the same. This number turns into a perfect square, and we can then take the square root of that number. The square root of 25 is the nice whole number 5, so that when we multiply 3 times 5, we just get the nice number 15. We then have to do the outside pair. 3 square root of 5 times 6 square root of 6. 3 square root of 5 times 6 square root of 6. The 3 times the 6 is 18. Square root of 5 times square root of 6 is square root of 30. Now 30 is kind of a big number, so you got to think, can I take out any perfect squares? My factors of 30, 1 times 30, and 30 is not a perfect square. 2 times 15, well 15 is not a perfect square. 3 times 10, 10 is not a perfect square. And 5 times 6, 6 is not a perfect square. So there's no factors that are perfect squares, so I just have to leave that big number underneath there, square root of 30. Then I'm going to do my inside pair. My inside pair says I'm going to take 6 square root of 6 times the square root of 5. Again, if you wanted to put the 1 there, you could. 6 times 1 is 6. Square root of 6 times square root of 5 is square root of 30. And we found out before we couldn't simplify the square root of 30, so that's our answer there. The last terms, 6 square root of 6 times another 6. Oh, it's going to move. Dang it, I don't know what's going on with my board today. I get a drink before I start that all over. It's going to be a long day if the board keeps erasing. So, oh, now it doesn't even want to write. Okay, now it's writing. Okay. So, three square root of 5 times the square root of 5 again was 3 square root of 25, which we said simplified into just 5. and we had a 15 there for our first term. Our second term, we had 3 square root of 5 times 6 square root of 6, and we had 18 square root of 30 there before. Then we did the inside, 6 square root of 6 times the square root of 5, and we had 6 square root of 30. And now back to the last pair. I don't think it likes me to write with the black one. I'm not going to use that again. My last pair is 6 square root of 6 times 6 square root of 6, which is going to give me 36 square root of 36. Notice again we had two squares that were the same, square roots that were the same. We got a perfect square. The square root of 36 is the nice whole number 6. So 36 times 6 was 216, if I remember right. We then can add our like terms together. So we're going to be able to add the 15 plus the 216, and then the 18 square root of 30 plus the 6 square root of 30. So 15 plus 216 was 231? 231 plus 18 square root of 30 plus 6 square root of 30. We're just adding the 18 and the 6. So we got 24 square root of 30 for our answer. Now to number 3. All right, board. Stay there. Okay, so when we FOIL, we're going to start and multiply what together first?
The first two.
The first two. The 2 square root of 3 times the 2 square root of 3. And when we take 2 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3, we get
4 12s.
4 square root of what?
Oh, 9.
9. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 square root of 9. You then said, oh, 9's a perfect square. The square root of 9 is
3.
3. And then you took 4 times 3.
12.
And you got 12. Just the plain old 12. Nothing left over extra on that one. We just got a 12. So then we did the outside pair. The outside pair says I'm going to multiply what together?
The
2 square root of 3
2 square root of 3 minus negative 4 square root of 5.
times negative 4 square root of 5. Exactly. So multiplying those, we would get
Multiply negative 8 squared 15.
and square root of 15 we can't simplify any farther. It doesn't have any perfect squares in it. So we do the inside pair. The inside pair says we're going to multiply what?
4 squared
4 square root of 5 times
the 2 squared root of 3.
2 square root of 3. And when we multiply that, we get 8 square root of 15. Exactly. And then we have to do the last pair, and the last pair says we're going to do what?
4 squared
4 square root of 5
times the 4 squared root of 5.
times negative 4 square root of 5, right? Because there was a minus in front of that last one. So we would get
Negative 16
negative 16
square root of 25.
square root of 25. And we can simplify that one. Square root of 25 is
5.
5. So we're going to take negative 16 times 5.
Negative 80.
Negative 80. So on this one again, we've got some like terms to combine. What can we do?
We can do the 12 and the 80.
12 minus 80 gives me
68.
what's my sign?
Negative.
Negative 68. And what happens when I do the negative 8 square root of 15 and the 8 square root of 15?
You just add 16 squared 15.
Whoops.
Or
What's
negative.
a negative 8 and a positive 8, right?
Yeah.
What's a negative 8 and a positive 8?
Oh, 0.
It's 0. They cancel each other out. They're opposites. Those are just gone. So my answer on this one,
68.
just the negative 68. So notice when you look at that, when we FOILed that out, these are those conjugate things where we have the exact same terms, just the opposite sign was in the middle. And so when you multiply something like that, everything cancels out except for the numbers, and then you can combine the numbers, and there you got one answer. We'll use that later.